Hello, my name is Femi Osusa. I'm a soon to be physics graduate at Stockton University, which is located in New Jersey in the United States, and I'm here to give a presentation on the effects of culture on tourism. Introduction. So, what is culture, you might ask? Culture can be defined as a set of standards, beliefs, values, and achievements that a group of human beings share and is transmitted from generation to generation. Or, according to Webster's online definition, it is the customary beliefs, social forms, and material traits of a racial, religious, or social group. At the same time, it's important to note from a scientific point of view that culture is unique to human species, and this is due to the fact that we have the ability to speak, make languages, write down things, make books. So by this ability, we're able to transmit information from generation to generation through time. So once again, it can be through music, books, TVs, storytelling, and all that. And we're the only species on this planet that has that ability. And I believe it's known as collective learning. But enough about that. Let's get into it. So let's look how it affects tourism. So culture has a direct effect on tourism by establishing behavior rules for individuals to follow, playing a role in determining how individuals perceive the world, impacting tourist satisfaction levels, which is, I believe, the most important out of all three. So the first one is, which is rules for people to follow. Let's dive into that. So every culture is unique in their own way and governed by written and unwritten rules. So you might ask, what are those? So, written rules. These are established by the government with certain monetary punishments, e.g., according to travel.com, during the month of Ramadan, which is a religious Muslim holiday, no one is allowed to eat food or drink anything during a certain period of time. And this applies to travelers as well. So, meaning if you're coming from a different country, you do have to abide by those laws, and if you don't, you will be punished by jail time. Next will be the unwritten rules, which are they're determined by the entire society and is usually learned by living within their culture. Like for example, like in the Philippines, the method of eating is by using your hands. So that's something that you pick up growing up there. So a foreign tourist might show up there. They might find it strange that people are using their hands, but if they request to use a fork or a spoon, there will not be any direct consequences because it is not a written rule. It's an unwritten rule, which is established by everybody. So there are no consequences for breaking an unwritten rule. But at the same time, you can be shunned for not following certain rules like that. And when you do that, it can be perceived as being disrespectful. Okay. Next, let's look how it plays a role in determining how individuals perceive the world. So, the way an individual perceives the world plays a huge role in determining where an individual is willing to travel, or basically where they're willing to go and spend their money. So, for example, someone who was brought up in a racist environment, for a good example would be someone who believes that, let's say, Africans are poor, because that's what they see on TV. So, someone with that type of mentality will probably never set foot in Africa because that's how they perceive Africa to be. But in reality, Africa is not a poor continent. There's cities, there's people there, there's technology and everything like that. So it exists out there. We don't. Not everybody lives on trees. Yeah. But at the same time, people tend to be self-conscious of how people perceive them, so they are more likely to travel and spend their money at a destination that's acceptable to their own values. So, for example, like someone who likes smoking marijuana would probably enjoy a trip to Colorado because people share the same values as them, and the same person would definitely not enjoy a trip to Saudi Arabia, where the laws are more strict and they don't have the same values or standards that the tourist holds. Next, which I believe is the most important, is it impacts tourist satisfaction levels. So one big problem is when there's different cultures, there tends to be different languages as well. So, for example, there are approximately 7,100 languages out there in the world, and we have 195 countries. So, tourism does promote contact between these different cultures, but at the same time, the contact between these cultures is difficult because of the language barrier. So, for example, is someone going to traveling from the United States to China would probably find it difficult to navigate because they don't speak the language. But at the same time, which this is funny because at the same time that is what drives tourism, the need to know things. So cultural differences at the same time do allow tourists to learn and experience new things, and that is the purpose of touring, to learn new things. So like it would make no sense to travel to a region that has the same things that you're used to seeing. Like it'll be boring. You might as well just stay at home. You know. Yeah. So, in conclusion, culture is a set of beliefs and values that a group of people share, and is transmitted from generation to generation through a process known as collective learning that's only unique to the human species, and due to a big brain. And at the same time, culture and tourism promote each other because tourism does allow people to travel to different cultures, and this is very beneficial because I believe at the same time we are becoming a single planetary species, meaning I can see us all in the future where we're living on a planet where there's no boundaries and we all speak the same language, probably, which makes it less confusing for all of us to interact, and there'll be more peace and less wars, I believe. But that's just my personal opinion. And lastly, and most important, it's important that tourists are aware of the cultural rules of the destination they're about to visit. For example, like no marijuana in Saudi Arabia is a good example because you do not want to arrive at a tourist destination and you realize that you've just wasted all your money and you're probably about to spend some more money on fines that you did not know existed, and you could have known ahead of time if you did a bit of research. So it's important to do some research of the cultures of the places you're about to travel and the type of cultures they possess. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that talk and have a great rest of your life, I believe.